Okay. Barrett. Cardiothoracic and vascular practice SBA question. Question number 1. CT scan for migration. CT shows 4.5 cm nodal mass with standard classification and marked enhancement following control administration, which I diagnosed Castleman disease. Now, in Castleman disease, we see a nodule in the lung and which shows standard classification. So, most likely diagnosed Castleman disease. Question number 2. What would not support diagnosis of pulmonary arterial hypertension? Point of an interventricular septum convex to the right. Because if there's pulmonary arterial hypertension, then there will be increase in pressure in the right ventricle. Because pulmonary artery rises from the right ventricle, so when increased pressure in the right ventricle, then the septum will go towards the left side. Here's the heart, there's the ventricular septum, the left atrium, the right atrium, and from the right atrium rises the pulmonary artery. So when there's the increased pressure in the pulmonary artery, so then there will be increased pressure in the right atrium, right ventricle, and the increased pressure will push the right atrioventricular septum, and it will go towards the left side. But if it goes towards the right side, that means it is not pulmonary artery hypertension. So not support diagnosis of pulmonary artery hypertension, one of the ventricular septum convex to the right side. 23. Characterized by apical volume loss and reticular nodule changes within both upper zones, is the most likely underlying etiology silicosis. Bilateral apical volume loss and reticular nodule changes within both upper zones, most likely etiology silicosis. Question number 4. Acute seizure. CT shows 2 similar ring hands in the frontal lobe with surrounding edema. Chest aggregate 3 opacities measuring between 1 to 3 cm in size, presided over the left lower zone. CC shows lesions to be rounded, well defined, and contain linear structure ranging away from the lesion, most likely diagnosed ultra-rapid Rangoon syndrome. When there are about like 3 lesions, and then each lesion shows a linear structure ranging away from the lesion, most likely diagnosed ultra-rapid Rangoon syndrome. Number 5. Which favor the diagnosis of carotid or hematoma? Central location. Carotid is C for carotid, so C for central location. Question number 6. Raised D-dimer, no pulmonary emboli, solitary 3 mm, well circumscribed nodule in the right upper lobe. What follow-up should you recommend? No follow-up. Because less than 4 mm, then there should be no follow-up. It is a benign lesion. Number 7. Such areas of right heart borders and the stain appear to tear, most likely causes absent left pericardium. Now, when pericardium is absent, it may be partial or complete pericardium. Partial pericardium occurs in about 90% of cases. So if right heart border is indistinct and appears to tear, so it may be absent left pericardium, partial absence of left pericardium. Question number 8. Pleural mesothelioma, which constitutes T4 disease. Variant of rib. Pleural mesothelioma, which constitutes mesothelioma, which constitutes T4 disease, is invasion of rib. Question number 9. A chest X-ray shows unilateral right side pleural appearance, which is likely to produce these appearances. Transaction of the proximal thoracic duct. Now, after road traffic accident, when unsuspected is unilateral right side pleural effusion, most likely is produced by transaction of the proximal thoracic duct. Question number 10. This X-ray shows diffuse opacity in the right upper lobe. On a previous film taken 3 months ago, he had a similar appearance in the left upper lobe, which cleared on chest X-ray taken 10 days later. There was similar episode a year previous to this with an opacity in the middle lobe, which subsequently cleared. This diagnosis is chronic eosinophilic pneumonia. Loeffler syndrome shows transient pulmonary eosinophilia. Okay, so this diagnosis is chronic eosinophilic pneumonia. Correct? Least diagnosis. Because Loeffler syndrome. It is transient pulmonary eosinophilia, and here they're saying that Felician 3 months ago he had a similar appearance in which left upper lobe was cleared on chest X-ray 10 days later. The similar episode a year previous to this. So least likely is chronic pneumonia. Because there are no eosinophilias spoken in the question. And then question number 11. Which of the sequelae of intravenous contrast medium is not dose dependent? If electrolyte reaction occurs without dose dependence. Question number 12. Suspected liver disease, hepatic venous wedge gradient of 3 mm. What does this indicate? There is independent data to draw a conclusion. If there is suspected liver disease and hepatic venous wedge gradient of 3 mm, then there is insufficient data to draw a conclusion. Question number 13. CT study of the aorta, which would not improve arterial management, increasing the cardiac output. Now, even if we increase the cardiac output in CT scan of the aorta, there will be no arterial enhancement increase. Because cardiac output is inversely proportional to arterial opacification. The other four techniques are used to increase arterial opacification. So if cardiac output increases, there will be decreased opacification, but no increase. Decreased enhancement on cardiac output increase. Question 14. A CT shows hyperdense crystal in the wall of the descending thoracic aorta on unenhanced study, which does not change following the administration of IV contrast medium, most likely diagnosed intramural hematoma. Because bleed inside of arterial media it is, and it does not change following intravenous contrast medium, so it is most likely intramural hematoma. Hematoma inside the arterial wall where the contrast cannot reach, so there does not change. 15. Focal stenosis of the right popliteal artery. Best approach for the catheter angiography is anterograde right common femoral artery. Now, focal stenosis of the right popliteal artery. Best approach for catheter angiography is anterograde and into the right femoral artery. It is on the right popliteal artery, so it will be in the right femoral artery, common femoral artery, and it will be anterograde. This is from femoral artery to popliteal artery. 16. Which is the most likely to be associated with ascites continuation of the inferior vena cava, bilateral bilobed lungs. In ascites continuation of the vena cava, we will see bilateral bilobed lungs. 17. Patient with a metastatic carcinoma. Initial CT shows 2 pulmonary lesions, measuring 6 and 4 cm. Current CT is equal to 3 lesions, each measuring 2 cm. How to classify this response? Progressive disease. Because first he had 2 pulmonary lesions, and now he has 3 pulmonary lesions. So this is progressive disease. Question number 18. Not a feature of idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis at CT is ground opacification. At ITP, IDF, and idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis, there is no ground glass opacification. There is fibrosis, there is honeycombing, but ground glass opacification shows microhemorrhages, not seen in idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis. Question 19. Slowly progressive intermittent urinary cortication brought on by exercise or prolonged standing. Sound reflection against resistance reproduces symptoms like popliteal artery entrapment syndrome. Then there's urinary cortication, and then on plant reflection against resistance, it reproduces symptoms like popliteal artery entrapment syndrome. So 20. Anatomy seen on a normal plain chest radiograph, which is incorrect. The anterior jugular line extends more craniolar than the posterior jugular line. Now, on a normal chest radiograph, which is incorrect. Anterior junction line extends more craniolar than the posterior junction line. This is not correct. Question 21. Suspicious peripheral 2 cm mass in the middle lobe. False with regard to CT scanning for canal baptism mass. The patient should be consented for a risk of pneumothorax of 40%. Suspicious peripheral 2 cm mass in the middle lobe. False with regard to CT scanning for canal baptism. The patient should be consented for a risk of pneumothorax. Risk of pneumothorax is very less, is not 40%. 22. Which is not a cause of a false positive CTPA result? Narrow windowing. Narrow windowing is not a cause of false positive CTPA result. 23. Cystitis right lower lobe cystic lesion with an air fluid level within it. A single apparent vessel arising from the distal thoracic aorta is seen to enter the lesion when it's drained through the pulmonary vein into the left atrium, like diagnosis and lobar sequestration. When it's drained through the pulmonary veins in the left atrium, so diagnosis intralobar sequestration. 24. Male smoker with recurrent spontaneous pneumothorax. CT shows large discrete upper thin walled cysts and increased lung volume, like diagnosis and enhanced cystocytosis. Now, male smoker and then the cyst in upper wall thin wall cyst, increased lung volume, diagnosis, and enhanced cystocytosis. 25. Cardiac tumor myxoma. What is true? Most tumors arise from septum, and myxoma mostly arises from the septum. 26. 3 cm focal stenosis of the right external iliac artery. What size balloon would be appropriate for angioplasty? 7 mm. Because for angioplasty, best is size is 8 to 10 mm. So 7 mm is the closest. Question 20. CT of the thorax, multiple pulmonary nodules, each less than 4 mm in diameter, and a perilymphatic and superior distribution, most likely diagnosed sarcoidosis. Multiple pulmonary nodules, each less than 4 mm in diameter, and perilymphatic and superior distribution, diagnosed sarcoidosis. 28. Which respiratory condition is not associated with cigarette smoking? Asthenic allergic alveolitis. Smoking is protective and asthenic allergic alveolitis. 29. The International Labour Force Office 1980 International Classification of Radiographs pertains to which of the following conditions? Pneumoconiosis. International Labour Office 1980 International Classification of Radiographs pertains to pneumoconiosis. 30. Thymus. Which of the following statements is true? The average age of thymoma diagnosed is less in patients with associated myasthenia gravis. Thymus, which is true. The average age of thymoma diagnosed is less in patients with associated myasthenia gravis. This is true. 31. Which CT sign is not a feature of folded lung cavitation? Cavitation is not a sign of folded lung. 32. Which with regard to emphysema is not true? See, the chest radiograph has a high sensitivity of diagnosis as emphysema. Emphysema is not sensitive in chest radiograph, it is sensitive on CT scan. 33. Concentric high attenuated material along the outer wall of the distal descending thoracic aorta, which describes its dissection. Standboard B and debate 3. Descending aorta, only descending aorta is involved in BAD, so debate 3 and Stanford B. 34. What distance between the lung edge and the chest wall constitutes a large pneumothorax? Greater than 2 cm. Greater than 2 cm distance between the lung edge and the chest wall constitutes a large pneumothorax. 35. Likeliest diagnosis diaphragmatic hernia. 35.